Hello out there today. Today I'm going to try something a little different because I was at work till forever. Last night I didn't get home till probably almost 2 in the morning because I had a midnight release to deal with. So I'm honestly just too tired to deal with streaming and the internet. So what I thought I'd do is pick a free dating sim off the internet, which there are tons of great ones. And just play it. I've never played a real dating sim before. I played the Persona games, love the Persona games, but I've played other visual novels, never a dating sim. I'm a big fan of the Zero Escape games. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna play some of these games. This one's not supposed to be very long. A2 or A squared probably, a do. And basically what this game is about, from what I can tell, is about this rocker chick who inherits her father's orchestra and is unhappy about it because she is a rocker and does not enjoy classical music. So let's see where that takes us, what kind of shenanigans might ensue. Great start, Dirty Alley. I'm not saying Donnie D usually hires the best henchmen, but his new guy would be bad by anyone's standards. Any 200-pound thug who thinks he can hide behind telephone poles really shouldn't have passed the screening process. Not to mention it takes him 9 blocks to finally jump me, even though I make a point of walking as slowly as possible. He's a better fighter than a stalker, I'll give him that. His first blow knocks all the wind out of my stomach. The second slams me face first into the asphalt. Where's the money, song? I spit out a gritty mix of gravel and blood, then smash my leg into new guy's kneecaps. He stumbles back with a curse. We grapple for several seconds before I finally shove him onto the ground. Squinty-eyed, yellow-faced, I kick him down before he can finish what he was going to say. I've heard it enough times before. People aren't all that original, I guess. Is that really the best insult you can think of? Something about the shape of my eyes and the color of my skin? Well, aren't you witty? I give Mr. Witty another kick to show my appreciation. Tell Donnie I'll pay him in 2 months. This time for sure. I just need some more time. Got it? Boss says he's done giving you more time. He says he only gave you the loan in the first place because your old man was supposed to be loaded. Guess you never can trust I grind my foot into his stomach until he's gasping. Tell him it's 2 months or nothing. There's just some things I need to do first. Oh yeah? Like what? As if on cue, my cell phone rings. New guy shoots me a look of disbelief as I take the call. What? Yeah, I'm on my way. Yeah, I know I'm late. Whatever. I shove the phone back into my jeans, then nonchalantly step back. The thug scrambles onto his feet, fists clenched, and ready for another fight. Save it for later, pal. As much as I'd love to keep pounding you into the pavement, I've gotta go. I've got orchestra practice today. Orchestra? For real? He laughs so hard that he drops his fighting stance and clutches at his sides instead. Rolling my eyes, I start walking away. He can laugh all he wants. As far as I'm concerned, our conversation is over. Yeah, go play your violin like a good little China girl. Go redeem your family honor and all that crap. Well, almost over. Swinging around, I sock him in the stomach as hard as I can. Oof! He goes down like a bag of bricks. I do a mock bow over his body, just for spite. Real quick. Okay, now it's over. Okay, so we basically learned that I'm a total badass who can take a punch and throw a punch, and that we really are just taking over our father's orchestra. I wasn't sure whether or not he was already going to be dead or not, but I guess he is. We're like already in the sense of doing the orchestra thing. The practice hall for the community orchestra is on the more upscale side of town, so I get a lot of funny looks as I come down the street. Men in polo shirts doing double takes, housewives locking their car doors. Heck, one woman even herds her kids away when she spots me. Geez, lady, what do you think I'm going to do to your Brett? Roast him on a spit and eat him? When I started coming here for practice, one of the orchestra members discreetly took me aside. I wasn't too surprised when she asked me to consider switching to a more normal appearance. And she wasn't too happy when I told her this was how I normally look. I let her go on for a while about how important it was for me, the orchestra's new owner and manager, to set a professional example by following a formal dress code, and all that jazz. It wasn't until she started saying that's what my father always did that I finally cut her off. I didn't need her, or anyone else, to tell me that master conductor William Song, acclaimed musical maestro and local celebrity, would have kicked out anyone who came to work with so much as a wrinkled tie. I am getting the feeling here that we did not get along so well with our father, the master conductor William Song, and I guess we'll find out. Even when I was a child, he'd make me iron my school uniform twice a day and throw out any skirts that didn't reach my knees. If that car crash hadn't killed him, seeing someone like me in charge of his beloved orchestra probably would have. After all, I'm the kind of girl people expect to see rocking out at a punk concert, not conducting piano concertos. And that's just the way I like it. Little Sona Song and her daddy's fancy pants orchestra. Huh, that's the last thing I'd want to be remembered for. Farther down the street, I see more people standing around trying to look like they're not gawking. Though for once, their focus, surprisingly, isn't on me. This time it's on an elegant young man standing in the middle of the sidewalk, holding a briefcase in one hand and studying a map in the other. Even in a swanky neighborhood like this, you'd be hard-pressed to find someone else this well-dressed. Expensive silk tie, expensive silk suit, perfectly straight tie, hair slicked back without one strand out of place. The orchestra girl who lectured me about professionalism would swoon over this guy. But I don't think she's looking too hard because I can definitely see a hair out of place. It's hanging right over his forehead. Right over his forehead. She needs to stop looking at his sick bod and actually look at his hair. He's definitely the type my father would have approved of. Huh. I pass him without a second glance. To my surprise, he calls out in Chinese. And I don't speak Chinese, so I have no idea, but I assume it has something to do with directions, because he's holding a map. If he's Chinese, he's probably talking to me. Ugh, this is always awkward. It's one thing to get crap about Chinese American stereotypes from random idiots. It's another to get Chinese people approaching me, expecting someone who will understand everything they say, and inevitably being disappointed when I only know a few words. For some reason, the second group always seems worse. At least I can pummel the first into submission without feeling guilty. The man calls out again. Oh, our first decision. Let me think this out. So we can try to act polite, which seems kind of out of character based on what we know so far about our character. Because, I mean, although this guy hasn't done anything to us, like, I doubt we're just going up to him like, I'm sorry, man. I don't speak your language. We could be rude to him, but again, he hasn't done anything to us, and I could understand why we might just be like, come on, like, just because I'm Chinese doesn't mean I speak Chinese. I think we should just ignore him. Because that'll send a message without having to, like, either break our character or whatever. It seems like something our character might do. I start walking faster, hoping he'll get the hint. I'm not sure what he's saying, and even more people are staring now, so I break into a run and don't stop until I'm inside the building. Once I enter the practice room, I'm swarmed by the entire orchestra at once. Sona, you're finally here. Why on earth were you late again? Oh, you know me. I like to make an entrance. We've been, waiting for... Eek! What happened to your face? Huh? What about my face? It takes me a second to realize there's something sticky on my cheek. Oh, right. That's blood. My blood. Probably. I scrub it off with the back of my hand, because if you scrub it off, people will forget it was there in the first place. Rule number 1. Oh, you know, just my weekly drug deal gone wrong and ensuing gunfight. No biggie. Everyone stares at me speechlessly. No one gets my jokes around here. That's probably because they actually think you do drugs. It's not really a joke if you're just, you know, confirming what people already believe. Okay. So about the upcoming Valentine's Day concert. Have you decided what pieces we should play yet? Nope. The musicians exchanged nervous glances with one another. One of them finally musters the courage to speak up. But we only have 2 months left before the concert. We need to finalize our set list as soon as possible. Yeah, you do that. Didn't I already say you can pick whatever you want? Maybe something by an old European dead guy. I hear they're popular. More nervous glances. I guess everyone is too used to blindly following my father's orders, instead of actually making their own decisions. Ever since my father posthumously put me in charge, they've been expecting me to step in his own shoes. In truth, I can't think of anyone less suited for this job. Seriously, if my father had actually known me before he died, he never would have entrusted me with his precious orchestra in the first place. As it was, he hadn't spoken in years. As it was, we hadn't spoken in years before his accident. So I was shocked as everyone else by the contents of his will. Yes, my father donated half his fortune to the Beijing Music Academy, but that wasn't the shocking part. The real surprise was that he'd agreed to give the other half to me, his estranged but only child, on one condition. Take over my father's latest pet project, the new community orchestra he founded, and attend their daily practices. If I'm a good little girl who never misses practice, I'll get a new lump of money on the day of each concert he scheduled. So that's why I'm here now, as uninterested and out of place as I am. Why else would I take charge of a bunch of musicians I don't want to be around, and who probably don't want me around either? So that's the real ticket here. It's not that we're just like trying to get in touch with our father, which I thought might be the case. Trying to connect with a father we couldn't just get in touch with while he was alive. No, we're here for the money. It's all for the money, at least for now. We're learning more and more about our character. We don't seem like a great person yet. Hopefully, we'll learn a little bit more. It sounds crass. Yes, it does. But there's no use denying it. As little as I want to do with my father's orchestra, I want everything to do with money. Ever since I left home, I've been sinking deeper and deeper into debt. That money could change everything. Luckily, my father's conditions shouldn't be too hard to fulfill. His will only instructed me to show up at practices, after all, and it never said I actually had to do anything while I was here. Of course, I've been exploiting that little loophole for all it's worth. How's the situation with hiring the new conductor? Not to rush you or anything like that, but, can we ask if you've found anyone yet? No one can replace Mr. Song, of course. But at this point, anyone with at least some experience would be better than nothing. We really can't go on without a proper... I interrupt them with an exaggerated yawn. Oh, what do you know? It's time for my nap. Wake me up when you're about to leave. And try not to play too loud. I saunter over to the piano and bury my head in my arms, right on top of the keys. As usual, none of the orchestra members dare to stop me. Reluctantly, they return to their chairs to tune their instruments. After several minutes, the first strains of a Mendelssohn symphony fill the room. I'm sorry if I butchered that. I try to ignore the song at first, but it becomes harder and harder to tune it out. I can actually feel my head beginning to throb from the noise. Ugh. I know they're new and everything, but they sound terrible. Not that I care if they bomb the concert, that's their problem. But if they're playing so badly that I can't even fall asleep, it really pisses me off. Maybe I should try to find them a new conductor after all. It could take weeks. Weeks to find a new conductor. Like, I'm sure we don't know conductors that we can just call up and be like, hey, are you busy? Community orchestra. Like, we'd have to put out an ad, which means we'd have to make an ad. I'm going to say it's not worth it. That seems like a lot of work. Well, whatever. There's only 2 months left until their concert. If I can pay off my debts with the money from that, I don't even need to come back. Satisfied with my decision, I settle in for a nice, long nap. Of course, that's exactly when the door flies open with a bang. He is shouting at me in Chinese. You can tell because he's making shouty triangle noises. I can't tell you what this says, but I can tell you he's not happy with whatever we're doing. Huh? No way. I rub my eyes once, then twice, to make sure I'm seeing straight, but there's no doubt about it. That's the same well-dressed man I passed by earlier, only now he's standing in my doorway, barking out incomprehensible strings of Chinese at the top of his lungs. The intensity in his eyes nearly takes my breath away. Don't tell me he followed me all the way here because I blew him off before. Still smoldering, the man slams the door shut, shaking the room on its foundations. As he marches over, I leap to my feet, only to realize that he wasn't headed for me at all. Instead, he zeroes in on one of the violinists in the front, who tries in vain to hide behind her music stand. Can I help you, sir? Are you lost? Whoa. Again, more angry shouting triangles. I think he's a conductor, though. Like, those are conductor hands. He's either that or he's going to angrily grab something from his pocket. One of the two. I'm sorry. I can't understand anything you're saying. Please don't yell. Don't yell at me. Please. Oh me, oh my. Scowling, the man wrenches the bow out of her hand and slices it through the air like a madman. The violinist whimpers in fear. Oh dear. Oh. Hey, you can't just barge in here when we're having a practice session. The man swerves around, glaring at the musician who just called him out. More angry shouting triangles. A terrified trumpet player makes a break for the exit. Without batting an eye, the man catches him with a single hand and shoves him back into his chair. There is a good chance that because I ignored this man in the park, that he is going to straight up murder all of us. I think that's what, like, this is a very American Psycho type moment here. Everyone immediately starts to panic, as they should. This guy is insane. Why won't he let people leave? Does anyone know what he's saying? Someone call the police, or a translator, or both. Oh, you can see a little, you probably can't see it on your screen, or you can see it a little bit, you might not be able to read it, but there's like a little English, or not an English word, but it's written in the English alphabet above some of the characters. I think it's my last name, maybe? It's really small. Wait a sec. It sounds like he's saying something something song. Maybe he's looking for Sona. I bet if I had found them a conductor, they would not be throwing me under the bus right now. All eyes in the room instantly turn to me, including the crazy Chinese guys, which instantly go wide in recognition. Oh, I just surprised. He's not angry anymore, he's just surprised. Jaw literally drops. Crap. The man closes the distance between us in just a few strides. I quickly grab the first weapon I can find, a metal music stand and an empty cello case. I might have jumped the gun, though, because the man's face softens once he reaches me. Extending his hand, he nods politely and continues talking. And song is thrown in there a couple more times. Unsure of what the man is saying, I hang firmly onto my makeshift weapons, though he seems friendly enough. I think I know why he's only talking nicely to me. Even with my piercings and dyed blue hair, I'm the only one in this orchestra with a face like his. So he's thinking maybe someone can understand his Chinese? She's the only Chinese person in the room? He has yet to realize that I don't speak his language. That on the inside, I'm just as different from him as from everyone else here. It's best to get this over with quickly. Who is he, Sona? Is he a friend of yours? I snorted despite myself. A guy like this? You're kidding, right? Then, maybe he's a friend of Mr. Song's? Mr. Song was the only one here who could speak Chinese, after all. There's a moment of heavy, somber silence. The Chinese guy looks expectantly at me, his hand still outstretched. As I thought before, he does look like the type of person my father would have associated with. It's all I can do to hold in a sigh. Okay, practice is over for today. Everyone go home. But Sona, is it really okay to leave you alone with? I said go. I'll handle this. No one wastes their time packing up. They abandon their instruments on the chairs or floor, then scurry out as fast as they can. I mean, instruments are usually at least $100, $200. So if they're not borrowing those from the orchestra, if they literally own them, they're just like abandoning hundreds of dollars on the floor. That's how scared they are of this man. The Chinese man tries to stop them, but I yank him back by the tie before he can do anything. You're looking for my father, right, Mr. Song? Shooting me a reproachful look, the man pries my fingers off his tie. He carefully straightens the fabric before nodding. I definitely heard him say Song again. There's no doubt he knows my father, or knew my father, if you want to be precise. If he hasn't heard about the accident yet, I'm not really sure how to break the news. Well, Mr. Song is dead, so you'd better go home too. Sorry. The words come out flat and curt even for me. Not knowing what else to do, I head for the door. The man catches me by the hand before I can reach it. Song again? He didn't understand me at all, did he? Mr. Song is dead. Gone. Bye-bye. and I apologize to every person who speaks the Chinese language. Zaijian, maybe? Zaijian. That's one of the Chinese phrases I still remember. Probably because it's something I said over and over again. Zaijian. Goodbye. The man frowns, not sure whether it's in general confusion or at my poor pronunciation. Quite possibly the latter. Yeah, probably. I pretend I don't see the look of disappointment spreading over his face. Instead, I mimic tying a noose around my neck. Apparently we are done being subtle, because that is sending like a very different message about his death probably than I want to. Mr. Song is dead. No more Mr. Song, okay? Go home. Zai Zhan. Still frowning, the man opens his briefcase. He rifles through several sheets of sheet music and letters before pulling out a neatly folded newspaper. I can't read the Chinese print. The only thing that matters is the large photo on the front page. In it, my father is standing on a conductor's podium in front of an orchestra. He has one hand on the shoulder of the man next to him, a younger, happily smiling version of the man in front of me now. This guy can't be much older than me, so maybe he was a student of my father's in China? Maybe my father invited him to visit before he died. Guess no one knew to tell him what happened before he came. The man presses a finger against the image of my father. He draws out his words long and slow, like he's speaking to a child. He's unmistakably saying my father's name in Chinese, so I nod. Right. William Song. Song Wu Zion. Next, he indicates his own image, then points at himself. That's you. Xiao. Yin Li Xiao. The man nods in acknowledgement, then he points at me. Sona. So-na? He rolls my name around on his tongue several times. He doesn't ask for my last name, and I don't bother to give it. Instead, he points. I had this image in my head of him like repeatedly like just saying Sona, like the animated Disney Tarzan movie where she's teaching him English. He's just like Sona. Instead, he points again at the picture of my father, then sweeps his hand through the air. When he speaks, he carefully enunciates his words, still gesturing around the room. I know he's asking for my father again. I don't know what else to say. So I point at the picture. I repeat my father's name. Then I take the newspaper photo and rip it to shreds. I toss the torn up pieces onto the floor. Xiao lunges after them. I watch impassively as he sinks to his knees, frantically scooping paper fragments into his hands. Zai Zhan, Song Wu Xiang. As he slowly rises to his feet, Xiao's face is twisted by the darkest, most murderous scowl I have ever seen. I meet his gaze without flinching, then draw my fingers like a knife across my neck. Zai Zhan, Song Wu Xiang. Goodbye for good. At last, Xiao's eyes widen in understanding. Trembling, he carefully, reverently places the remains of the photograph in his briefcase, then bows his head toward the ground. His eyes grow bright with contained tears, but he doesn't make a sound. It's got like real sad real fast. Like it started like, yeah, I'm just using this orchestra to get my father's money. And then it went like, I've got to explain to my dad's like protege that he's dead because no one bothered to tell him. Dot 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 dot. After several minutes of solemn silence, there's a sharp click. I look up to see Xiao snapping his briefcase shut. He methodically dusts off his suit, straightens his tie, and walks out without saying a word. The slam of the door, though, resounds throughout the entire room. Sighing, I released the breath I hadn't realized I was holding. Zai Jian to you too, Hiao, just like Song Wu's Yan. I guess you and I will never meet again. I didn't remember this at that time, but the literal translation of Zai Jian isn't goodbye for good. It's actually see you again. Okay, so that's where I'm going to end the first episode. We're at the 30-minute mark now, and so that seems like a good time, especially since we kind of just finished up a scene. We'll play through the entire game. I'm not going to do full runs of this, like, I'm not going to go and try to get every ending. I'm just going to do what feels right, and hopefully I don't get, like, super bad ends. So have a glorious rest of your day, and I will see you guys for episode 2.